In today's set review, we're gonna be taking a look at the probably weirdest yet also most creative LEGO Star Wars set from the summer wave, and this is of course set number 75414, the Force-Banner Snowspeeder. This set is based on the show Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past, a show that I have never watched, to be honest with you. It includes 349 pieces, 3 minifigures, and has a recommended retail price of $55 and 50 euros. On the front of the box, there's not only the Rebuild the Galaxy logo, but also all 3 of the minifigures and all 3 of the vehicles that you get in the set in action. In the background you can see some kind of landscape which probably has some importance in the show, but as already said, I have not watched this show and I also don't really plan to do this in the future, so I can't really tell you what this is about. On the backside of the box you can see the vehicles in the landed position, the characters are fighting, and you can see some of the play features such as the opening cockpit and also the speeder that you can drop out. When opening the set, you get a total of 4 numbered bags, a sticker sheet with 11 stickers, which is insanely big for such a small set with only around 350 pieces. You get of course the typical instruction manual, and the cockpit piece comes in this brown bag, which should protect it against some scratches from the other pieces, which I think is a great idea. Starting off with the first minifigure in the set, this is Sig Riebling, and I think this is the Jedi / good guy in this set. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time that we see a Jedi, or just a figure in general, with an orange lightsaber, which looks pretty dang cool. The printing overall on this character is also pretty good. He doesn't have arm printing, but the printing from the torso continues over the hips to the legs and the feet, which looks pretty cool. I think without the belt, which looks pretty Jedi-ish, if you get what I mean, I think this character could also fit in a medieval kind of setting, or could be a lot of the Rings minifigure, which is pretty interesting design-wise. On the backside he got some nice details too. Yeah, pretty fitting for this character from the overall design. Here's a double-sided face print, one with this more frowny face and the other one with a smiling and happy face, which I think fits the character well, I don't really know. Overall, it's a really nice looking character and I'm happy to have this figure in my collection. The second and in my opinion also more interesting minifigure is Darth Death. He comes with a red lightsaber and has this kind of battle-damaged Vader / cyborg kind of vibe, which is really awesome. He has some amazing printing with some awesome details on the torso, which also continues over the hips to the legs and also the feet. And he got some arm printing on one side of the arm, which is his covered up arm. On the other side it seems like, his sleeve or something like that is missing. I do have to say, it's really awesome that LEGO decides to arm print a character in such a niche set. However, I still think it's crazy that the AT-ST driver didn't have dual model legs. If you can arm print a figure in such a niche set, why not in the bigger ones? But now let's get back to Darth Death. On the backside of his torso he also has some amazing printing. Overall the printing on this character is just phenomenal. He also comes around with a double-sided face print, one side with a more confused look and the other side with this more angry kind of Sith vibe looking face. This side of the face gives me more of the Anakin fallen angel type vibe, if you get what I mean, which looks really cool. Overall, this is once again a pretty stellar looking minifigure with some amazing printing and awesome details. I have no idea what this character does, but he looks dang awesome. In this set the hairpiece is actually accurate and matches the look of the character in the show. I think it's pretty crazy that the young Boba in both Slave 1 sets from this year has the same hairpiece as this character and they both look not the same at all. The third and last minifigure in the set is Solitus. This is also a Duros just like Cad Bane, this is why they look pretty similar. He comes around with a pretty dark and mysterious looking vibe, especially because of that hood. He has a dual wielding lightsaber in purple, which looks pretty insane, especially because both of these lightsabers are chained together via this black chain, which is pretty cool. He has some pretty nice details on the torso, the hips and also on the legs, and he comes with this nice printing of a chain with a crystal in the middle, which looks pretty cool. The details on the backside of the torso are pretty lackluster, but it's gonna be covered up by the cape anyways. And he also doesn't come with a double-sided face print, which I think is interesting, but he has a hood on, so I don't really care. I think the minifigure selection for the set is pretty solid. I have of course no connection to all of these characters, but I think they all look pretty cool. Now that we're done talking about the minifigures, let's take a look at the builds of the set. The first of which is this little speeder bike, which overall does look pretty clunky, not that good. It looks pretty rectangular and doesn't have that many great building techniques. It also has 2 of these flame stickers in the front, which add some nice detail, but I don't like stickers that much. As expected, you can of course put Darth Death on his speeder bike. You can just simply put him on the studs there and give him the steering wheel in his hands. With the figure on it does look a bit better, but overall, it's not the greatest speeder bike we've ever seen. However, the speeder bike does get a lot better with the play function with the Snowspeeder. If you open up the cockpit, you can see the little rod there in the middle, this yellow piece. You can just simply click the backside of the speeder bike onto there, and it's a super cool play feature. It is in there very securely and you can swoosh your speeder around, no problem. You can also pretty simply just remove the speeder bike and drop it off. This is a very cool play feature, it's super cool for kids to play with this, and just overall a very genius idea. Because of this play feature, there is a pretty big gaping hole on the bottom side of the Snowspeeder, and it doesn't really matter if the speeder bike is in there or not, because there are some pretty significant gaps, but because the play feature is so cool, I don't really have a problem with this. Speaking of the force burner Snowspeeder, this is a pretty fire build. Get it? Because of the flames. But seriously, this is a pretty nice build for a Snowspeeder, and I really like this fiery color scheme, even though it's not accurate to anything that is canon. However, if you like niche sets that are based on shows like Rebuild the Galaxy, you're really gonna enjoy this set in my opinion. On the front side you have a small sticker, which once again, I'm not the biggest fan of stickers, but it adds some nice flamey details, and overall the front section is really well built. There are not a lot of gaps, and overall just the shaping is really great. I think the side profile from the set might be my favorite. I love the flames on there, which all of them are stickers sadly, but yeah, they still look pretty fire, no pun intended. And all of the building techniques for the guns and everything and the shaping once again is pretty awesome. They also tried to make sure that there are not a lot of visible gaps. They used some ingot pieces to cover up the gaps there, and also some of these plate modified pieces in the front, these orange pieces with the railing there, to make sure that there are not really any visible gaps, or at least not big ones, which is really awesome. Speaking of awesome, I really love this new windshield piece that they specifically created for the set. I think it's probably gonna be reused in a different color scheme for a normal Snowspeeder in the future, and I also really hope so, because this is a great piece. It looks absolutely stellar. It's a phenomenal piece that they created for the set, and I think it's crazy that they first used this in such a niche set and not with a normal Snowspeeder, but I'm not really mad, because otherwise we probably wouldn't have gotten this colorway in any kind of set. But now I can only hope that LEGO sometime soon will release another Snowspeeder in the scale just in the normal color scheme, because this as a normal Snowspeeder would be amazing. But now to finish off the play features, you can of course open up the cockpit and put Sig Riebling in there. The only choice that I found interesting is that this time they didn't use 2 studs and 1 plate for the seat to not get the leg stuck in there. No, this time it's 4 studs, and I don't know really why they did this, but yeah, it works just fine for me, so you're not gonna really have a big problem with this, I think. There are also a bunch of printed pieces at the front to represent some control panels. Nothing special, but yeah, it's solid. The backside looks also pretty dang awesome, some nice details and some cool building techniques here. I think it also looks pretty funny if you use the angry face for Darth Death at the backside, so you can really utilize all of his anger in the gunner position here. Speaking of the gunner position, on this Snowspeeder you're not gonna find a tow cable. No, this time it's a stud shooter, which has a lot of range of movement because it's on a ball joint. And you can pretty simply fire this off. Yeah, solid play feature and cool for kids. And the last build in this set is the stab. This is a bit of a more bulky version of a stab than the previous versions that you've probably got. But yeah, it looks pretty solid. It's a stab. It comes with the transclear stand. It's overall a pretty good build. This is the vehicle for Solitus. You can pretty simply put him on there, and he stands there pretty securely. What I think is interesting is that the steering wheel is upside down. But yeah, it's pretty simple to put him on there, and it looks pretty solid. Now you can have Sig Riebling and Darth Death chase Solitus. But yeah, once again, I don't really know what goes on in the show, so maybe it's vice versa. So what do I ultimately think about this set? I think $55 for this set is overpriced, and not only a little. I think 40, maybe 45 bucks would have been a fair price, and I think I would have been way more happy about the set with this price, as it's also a pretty niche set and not a lot of people are going to be that interested in this set, at least I think that. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty awesome set. I think the build for the Snowspeeder is phenomenal. I think this with a normal color scheme would sell like hotcakes. I would really love LEGO to just release this set just in the normal color scheme for the Snowspeeder. Yeah, it would be awesome. So besides the price, I think this could be one of the best sets from this wave. But yeah, it's just from a very niche show, so not a lot of people are gonna be that interested in this set. And it's also not gonna get a lot of attention just because of the show it's coming from. But now, definitely let me know down in the comments below what you think about this set. And also, should I watch Rebuild the Galaxy? Is it worth it? I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider to like to support the channel, and also to subscribe if you're new and don't want to miss anything. Feel free to check out the other LEGO Star Wars 2025 summer reviews, and other than that, have a great day.